against Louisville.
Absolutely. Because Florida State's another team, and I don't care if you roll your eyes at me when I say this or not, and I know most people that listen to this show wouldn't. Florida State's a win that if Louisville were to come out and look good on Saturday and roll them up real good, especially if you made a change like Travis, and all of a sudden I will go, no, I'm giving that win more credit than what a lot of other people
y'all will. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of other, and I'm talking when I say other people, I just mean like media in general, national, local, everything. I think a lot of people will poo-poo on that. Oh, Florida State sucks. I won't. Louisville comes out, made a change like that, and they look real good on Saturday. Imagine they run Jordan Travis out there, and all of a sudden Louisville hangs 38, wins 38-13.
You run Jordan Travis out there and win 38-13, it's gonna be like you won a.
Yes, I don't care.
I would erase everything that happened before now.
Not everything. But close.
Everything.
I go in because you remember, I believe, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong. I know you may have the schedule. They play Saturday, and then we turn right around Friday, right?
Yep.
Correct.
Okay.
Why would you ask Brian that?
Because Brian does the sports centers and he keeps up with the schedule.
Stuff like that, Steve.
I know, but
I listened
really
to Bobby in the press conference.
But I know Brian
we're
does.
changing the schedule so we can get ready for the Friday game. There's no other week that I would have known that. You were absolutely right by going to Brian.
Knows the stuff, man. It's a schedule.
You are 100% correct in your assumption.
But you went out, you look good, you got a win like that, and then all of a sudden, Friday night, blackout. Drew Diener has said this multiple times this week, and I couldn't agree more with him on anything he said. He said Bobby has a 7-day window here where he could change a lot of stuff. You go look good against FSU, and you turn around, you beat Georgia Tech at home. That's 2 games where I'm going to go. I don't care what records. FSU's got FSU talent.
Yes.
Georgia Tech is one of the hardest games for anybody to win. I don't care who you are.
Who did Georgia Tech play and was giving them a handful the entire
South Florida.
Who? South Florida.
Maybe it's somebody else. I don't know who Georgia Tech played.
Georgia Tech played somebody very respectable, and
they played South Florida. I know that.
Was giving them everything they want. How do you think Army gave Oklahoma all that trouble?
The same type of offense.
So my point being with this Florida State situation, you know what this kind of reminds me of? The Florida State situation reminds me of Louisville, Memphis stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Louisville, DePaul.
Oh, Clemson.
Louisville. It was Clemson who they gave them a handful.
They ended up losing 49-21, but it was.
Yeah, it wasn't just get off. It was just.
Yeah.
That Clemson defensive line could hold up too much. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
you're putting up points on Clemson.
Yeah.
You're moving the ball.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Florida State Louisville game to me are those games where you look at a Louisville team with a traditional, just uber athlete games. Remember I made reference to Louisville, Memphis.
Yeah.
I said, when you play those games, the real baller just comes out.
Yeah.
Because that team is not as organized as traditional.
Sure.
Like I said, and I'm talking in cliche and kind of generals. Louisville under Coach Crum, he lets you go against Memphis, DePaul, Cincinnati, Georgetown.
Right. Let's
just go play.
Yeah.
I want to see how my athletes work against your athletes. We'll run 3 plays, and the rest go be great.
Sure.
Houston, Louisville, go be great. This one, because here's the problem. What happens is you release all your athletes, you let them go crazy.
Okay.
You see the best football or the best basketball in the country. So whatever team comes out of this one with a win, it won't go back to losing. Right?
It's fair.
Because you have this game, and then you realize you were really on the field we played against Alabama, and we played against Florida State, right? Some type of way, Alabama still had a little something that none of us got.
Sure.
But speed and athleticism and motion and movement out there.
Yeah.
that's when you're going to see how, you're going to see your most athletic Louisville and your most athletic Florida State.
I agree. And there's an arms race because I don't think Louisville and Florida State are two teams that you feel like will be down forever.
Right.
And Jared said something this morning on with Drew that I was kind of had me scratching my head when he said, I mean, we hired Bobby, and well, oddly enough, I agree with a lot of stuff Jared says to be such a contrarian.
Right.
But I think
or maybe he's just good at convincing you.
no, he's good. Yeah, he's good at what he does. But I think what he said was we hired Bobby to compete with Clemson and Florida State. And I'm thinking, are we not doing that? Is he not doing that? Like, and Florida State right now, you have a 2-game winning streak on. So I'm looking at this game as this is somewhat of an arms race game too, where you say we need to stay ahead of the Florida State curve. I don't care if we're both struggling right now, but going back to my Jordan Travis point, I think, and this is so unfair, but I'm going to say it, and maybe you'll agree or disagree with me. I think if Juwan Pass or Malik Cunningham were to play and you were to do this thing and you beat Florida State by 14, I think you feel like it's more Florida State. I think you feel like, well, Florida State really must suck. I think if you make a change and you play a guy like Jordan Travis and ball out, I think you feel like.
So you won't feel like you got them together. If you beat Florida State with Malik Cunningham or Juwan Pass, you'll feel like it's.
I mean, kind of, and that's so unfair, and that's not me. Now, look, there will be a piece of me that'll be like, because you know how I am. I'm gonna be like, I don't know, man. I think they got it.
Right.
We got it going. But in the back of my mind, you go, man, maybe Florida State just sucks. But if you make a switch, and somebody like Jordan Travis comes in and plays, and you say you win by the exact same score as you would with them, I think you go, maybe we got it together. The fan base as a whole, I think majority will go, I think we've got it together now. Maybe it has more to do with us looking good than it does with Florida State not. And that's kind of the somewhat unfair dilemma that I think we face Saturday, which is why I think you go with Jordan. And I think you'll win with him. I mean, I don't just think you put a guy in there because it's not always the right move just to switch and play somebody new.
I'm going to take this conversation a little higher upstairs. It's about to get really uncomfortable. Midday with Marcus Maben, 8150, 93.9 is the number on 93.9 The Ville.
This is U of L Today with Mark Hebert.
You don't have to be a super genius to be a good problem solver. That's what a U of L researcher has found. An explanation
Weekdays with Marcus Maben on 93.9 The Ville is broadcasting live from the OPC Pest Services studio. Now, here's Marcus Maben and Steve Rummage.
Welcome back. Midday with Marcus Maben. 8150, 93.9 is the number. 93.9 is the station. People, I told you it was a Bill at Scorns and Sons morning. Unfortunately, when that rain picks up, people are rushing to work. Turns into a Bill at Scorns and Sons Collision Center morning. But still, they give us Lawrence. Lawrence, thanks for joining us on 93.9, my man. What's on your mind?
What's up, guys?
What's up, man?
I just saw Kelly Bryant and Trey Clemson.
Yeah.
They're like Jaden Hurts going to do the same. So if Louisville start Jordan Travis on Saturday, which guy you think is going to try to lead? Cunningham or Pass?
Let me ask you this. You think the quarterback is the biggest problem on the team?
No, I think the whole team's a big problem right now. But I can see a quarterback getting upset about a freshman starting over him and them getting so mad that they don't want to leave the program. Because if you really competitive, you stay and fight for your job. It seems like certain guys don't want to fight for the job now. I wouldn't pass if Cunningham and Pass leave if Jordan Travis start on Saturday.
No, Lawrence, I appreciate the call. Here's the thing. First of all, I want you to answer that question.
Yeah.
Biggest problem, is it quarterback?
Well, let me answer this question first. If Jordan Travis coming in produces the results that Trevor Lawrence and Tua have, I'll pack Juwan and Malik's bags for them. Okay? So I'm not real worried about that.
So you're not worried about their feelings right now?
Yeah. If Jordan Travis coming in, because that's the other side of that argument. Like, I hear Lawrence and I agree, but the other side of that argument is Lawrence and Tua are good. I mean, real good. So if Jordan Travis is that type of difference maker, I mean, maybe even not to that level. I'm talking on a scale.
And listen, it gets back to my point. Like there's a difference between mistakes and you're not getting the offense and you trying to, like I said, you trying to go full scale,
yeah,
full package offense that Cunningham
sure.
and like you have to adapt too.
Yes, I agree. Now to answer your question,
listen, look, 8 yard, an 8 yard post pattern, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, flag route. I don't care what the defense is and how much you understand. If you got a quarterback that can put it on a dime,
absolutely,
he's playing.
Yes, and then to answer your other question, I'll say what I've been saying for 2.5 weeks. Also think there's another side to the quarterback putting it there, and it's putting it there to a guy that's going to catch it.
And not having to lighten it up and not having to take a little off.
And I think that, again, you got receivers playing wrong positions.
So how much of the problem is a quarterback play? This offense not moving the ball?
I mean, I think it's
a percentage.
That's tough. I mean, with Malik can't throw. So I'm just really talking Juwan. And Juwan, it's if the receivers were catching balls and you were throwing the balls to the right people in the right positions, then I think Juwan's probably still your guy. I mean,
what percentage of the offense not moving up and down the field is Juwan Pass's fault?
Probably 40. But that's a high percentage.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it's 40% of the problem, you gotta go.
Yeah.
At 40%.
Yeah. I mean, probably. Yeah, I'd say 40 because I think you're getting. I don't know. I think you're getting a lot of drop balls. I don't think you're.
Yeah, nothing can function at 40% strength.
And for whatever reason, the receivers aren't catching the football from you. For whatever reason, the run game stinks when you're in the game. And I don't know what the reason is.
That's what I'm saying. When you add in receivers, when you add in the run game, then when you add in the play calling, it's impossible for it to be 40%.
Yeah, but it all stinks when you're in. Like when Malik's in, at least it was somewhat like, well, the run game's decent. I mean, it kind of got shot in the foot on Saturday with Dave Williams getting hurt first play. I do think Bobby was going to ride Dave Williams a while.
Man.
Like,
And you understand my frustration with that statement.
yeah.
I'm going into the game ready to ride Dave Williams, and it falls falls apart.
One.
Yeah, and play one, and then. But here's the thing: I have to have running backs that can come in behind Dave Williams and get it done.
Well, again,
Every school we watch, the backup running back comes in, and he's at least. We don't notice a explosion from one running back and a complete drop off in the next.
Well, no, but I think you put Colin Wilson in. I don't know when you really didn't see him. Instead, we ran Jeremy Smith off tackle a bunch of times, and I mean Trey Smith didn't look too bad, but I mean I think
He's cylindered out.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, what do you do with that? You know.
So here's the conversation. Heading into break, I said we got to go upstairs. Right?
Okay.
You know when I say you got to go upstairs, you know where we're going upstairs to. Now we see all these things. We see the product on the field. We know the product's not great. Bobby Petrinos has told us the criticism, it's got to be valid in some places. It's true. He's saying we're going to bunker down. We're going to hunker down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. VT, turn off your radio right now.
Okay.
Is it time for public backup or public criticism from your AD? Is it time for, hey, these guys are going to get it together? Is it time for some type of State of the Union address coming from upstairs? Because, again, I won't even make a huge comparison, but at around this time, you would hear I have all the faith and confidence in the world in the coaching staff that is in place, right?
Yeah.
Or you'll hear no, I went and talked to the guys to make sure I'm giving him everything he needs to be successful. Like
Right.
years and years and years, around this time, your AD is usually saying something either supportive or either, hey, I went in there and chewed the butts out a little bit.
I still think we're a couple weeks away from that. And the reason I say that is because Bobby Petrino, since he's been back, for as much criticism as he has taken over the last few days, has never won less than 8 games. You set at 2-2. I don't think that's why
How disgusting is that stat right there?
well, I know. And the reason I say that is I think that you say first off, right off the bat, Bobby I think we can all agree, even if you dislike Bobby, he's earned the right to finish the season out and see if he can get it together.
Oh, no, yeah. I wasn't saying anything like that.
No, I agree. I'm just saying that I'm not so much talking about SharePoint.
To me, it's not a Bobby thing. It's now you're face of the program kind of thing. Now are you worried? Because here's the thing, though. You have a natural energy boost in a Florida State game and a Louisville Live. So,
but you also got a Friday night blackout coming up. That's why I say I think you're 2 weeks away. I think you're 2 weeks away.
After blackout.
Yeah, then we evaluate and we see where we're at. And hopefully you win both of them and Vince can come out and say, look, I think we're trending in the right direction.
I will say this. If I'm Vince, you give me these 2 games, I say something public like, oh, yeah, I told y'all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If I'm Vince, I'd swag it out.
Yeah,
He got it together.
I would totally take credit for all the turnaround. Just say, no, it's patient, people.
No, that's what I would do. If I was Vince, if they win the next 2 games, I think Vince comes out and says, I didn't make a statement because there wasn't a statement to be needed to be made. We're 4-2. We thought we were,
Right, and I only throw the idea out there is because at some point when the buzz gets a little heavy that you, so but you answered my question perfectly on it's 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah.
For State of the Union.
Yeah. Now, if they lose both of them, then maybe Vince's silence would be very telling. I mean, silence to me, silence would be, you know what I'm saying? No, but maybe if they lose both games coming up, and you're setting at 2-4. I think it's time for we will evaluate at the end of the year statement.
See, and there's only 2 statements. There's end of the year evaluation. There's we believe in him, and we're going to put we're going to ask him, is there anything? See, I think that one's still you still get the how can I help you
Yeah.
Is there anything? Because really, that's always a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
When you listen, look, Scott, give me 1 second. I'm going to the phone. Listen, I don't know if you've had that moment yet, right?
Okay.
I think you have.
Probably.
You may be able to acknowledge it. But there's that moment where my A student child, right? He comes home with a D, right?
Sure.
And you don't mind it, you know what I'm saying? You getting a D, you know what I'm saying? Then you get a C. And then you get an F. And then you have that moment where you say, son, daughter, how is it something that I'm doing to cause you to fall apart? Right? Because you're not ready to yell at them and say you're doing bad, but you hit that point where you say, and like I said, you know it's not your fault. I listen, I do, or you say, do I give you too much? Because look, all my people are telling me I'm spoiling you, and is that why is that why you're falling off? Is that why you're getting in trouble? You know, like, are you not happy at home? How can I help you be a happier person so you can bring up these grades? But in the back of your mind, you're like, if you don't pull up these grades,
you're done.
No, Steve, you don't say that to your kids.
I just told my son he really wants the Spider-Man PlayStation game. I feel like he held twice Saturday.
Oh, shut your mouth,
and
Steve.
I was like, that's not okay.
No Spider-Man. Brian, do you hear this psychopath in here? No Spider-Man game for you. No, holders don't get Spider-Man.
I told him he has this week of practice in the game and next week of practice in the game. I said, if
that game will be out of style by then.
I said, if you put together 2 full weeks of solid football, I'm talking, I want technique right. I want intensity right.
Do you hear him, people?
I said, Spider-Man PlayStation 4 is yours. We will go out. We will get that. But it ain't like you can have a crap day in the middle of, I need 2 weeks of I'm not saying you can't make mistakes. I'm saying high intensity, technique, good, full 2 weeks. Maybe that's what, maybe Bobby needs Spider-Man.
You know, I'm not critical. When you're critical of the children, I believe in harsh, tough love, right?
Yeah.
When you get him the Spider-Man game, he's going to work less on his game and more on the Spider-Man
That's
game.
why it's 2 weeks away.
Are you doing the dangling carrot to your own child?
Yes. Yes. I got to see 2 games in 2 weeks of practice.
Listen, that's what I did when I was broke, Steve. I just, man, I need this.
Yeah.
And in 2 weeks, I'll move.
Yeah. Hey, give me 2 weeks.
Give me 3 more weeks because that holding call just set you back another week, son.
That's it, man. So let's see what he comes up with.
Chasing the carrot. Scott, thanks for joining us on 93.9, my man. Fire away.
Hey, I was just commenting on your you two talking about Jawan Pass and 40%.
Right.
I think if you look back to last year, okay, we had Lamar Jackson, probably the most explosive player that's played in the last 30 years. The last 3 or 4 games of the year, our offensive line couldn't protect Lamar Jackson. Houston demolished us in 16 with a bad line. If you got Tom Brady back there, if he doesn't have time to throw the ball, there's nothing anybody can do. You know, and I'm not blaming it all on the offensive line. A lot of it is Petrino. You can't be 4th, 5th game in the season changing your entire front starting lineup on your offensive line, and your defense is pretty soft. I think the whole deal is a real poor effort out of coaching and the players. And I've watched Louisville sports for 45 years. This is the poorest example of Louisville sports I've seen. That's all I'm going to say. And that should make those guys motivated to play. The worst.
Scott, I appreciate the call. Hyperbolic much?
I mean,
the worst in 45 years?
Probably a little bit. I mean, I think he's trying to get his point across that he's not happy.
Right. I'm not happy with what seems to be the effort.
I will say, though, when people say that right now is some of the lower, I mean,
23 to 3.
I mean, I agree.
You're fresh off of 23 to 3, you know.
27.
27. Thanks, Steve.
I mean, and I actually agree because the reason why I don't agree, but the reason why I will listen to the comparisons to when it was as bad is because I think you have way more talent now and much better coaching. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think we all know obviously something needs to be changed. And I go back to what I started the show with. If you're telling me that things are really coming together in practice and you took a huge step forward in practice, at this point, cool, but let's see.
Let me ask you this. Are you worried about false, we talked about Florida State. We talked about Louisville, Florida State getting together. We're talking about that's just explosion because it seems like these are the kind of games that the athletes, Bobby Petrino said in the press conference, he said a lot of these guys know each other. Here's the thing. I don't want to see a false fix here.
Right.
I don't want to see the game. I don't want to see the Louisville team that beats Kentucky and then goes on to be 12-20.
Sure. Yeah. No, yeah, we can't do much more of that.
You get my point, though.
No, I do.
Like that's a game where you actually saw how much talent you have and how.
Yeah.
But see, again, I go back to saying that was a player problem.
Right.
That's a player problem.
Yeah.
When you get out here and you show you have all this talent against Alabama, and Bobby Petrino says it, we compared the tape to Virginia, right?
Yeah.
It's like I said, I understand and I empathize with the guy who says coach has to get you motivated for Alabama the same way as you are Virginia.
Sure.
And I hear you, but again, being in locker room, like it's false bravado. You know what I'm saying? It's like you got to have some ownership on what you want out of life. You know what I'm saying? Like is your bar only at the jerk? And are you just doing that because you're thinking about making the pros? You're thinking you want to get to the league and you go have an Alabama game and a Florida State game and you get to the league. So you're flying all over the field.
Yeah.
And then every other game, you're like, let somebody else, carry the weight. But at the end of the day, the coach gets blamed.
Yeah, the coach is going to get blamed. And
so I should just let that one go.
Yeah, because I think no matter what, it is going to be everything falls back to coaching at some point.
Yeah. Sean, thanks for joining us on 93.9. What's on your mind?
All right. I just wanted to say, I want to preface this by saying, first and foremost, I'm not a Louisville football fan. That's first and foremost. But I am a Louisville, a Louisvillian, and I do love my city and my university program. We need a big-time coach. You know what I'm saying? Petrino, he's not a big-time coach. So even though we got better talent than what is normal that we have, we don't have the big-time talent. We got to get a coach with a mindset of we got to get the talent in here so that we don't never have to rebuild. All we have to do is reload. Y'all been saying it for weeks now that you go back to this season when we were so good, then it was a dropout. Then you did good for a little while, and then it was a dropout. And then you did good again for a little while, then it was a dropout. That's because you got to keep rebuilding after so many years. If you want to build an elite program in the ACC, you can't be the type of team or program that rebuilds.
Let me ask you this: when was the last time Louisville was in rebuilding mode in your eyes?
Now. No,
the last time.
The last time was 2000. The year after they beat Florida.
So you had
the year after they beat Florida, and then you were still in kind of a rebuilding year the last few years with Lamar. Lamar was just so dynamic. He hid a lot of flaws. Now, because like I said, I used to argue all the time with a bunch of my friends that are Louisville fans. I'm like, if Lamar get hurt, your season's down the drain. You won't win another game if Lamar get hurt. That's been my argument with them for the last couple of years. And like I used to tell them, like I would tell them right when the movement was going to the ACC, I was telling them, it's easy to beat Florida and Miami and all of those teams in the bowl games when you got months. When you have a month or two to prepare for them, and you get a month or 2, 6 weeks to heal up from injuries that you had before the bowl game. But when you get into the ACC and you got to battle these teams week in and week out, and then you don't have that extensive time to prepare, and those extensive times to a heel, then that's when it's going to be a problem. So, you know what I'm saying, those elite teams, they don't have to worry about that because they don't have to worry about rebuilding. If somebody get hurt, it's next man up, and they got the caliber of talent to replace the starter for the next man up. You can't lose Lamar Jackson. You can't lose the DB, from last year. Yeah, you can't lose those people and then and expect to come back and compete when you don't have nobody behind them that's going to be, you know what I'm saying, not that much of a drop-off. When you keep dropping off because you got a few sprinkles of some great talent here and there, you can't play. Those are good for Conference USAs, and those are good for AAA conference or whatever the other conference. You can't have that type of program in the ACC. You gotta have a reload type of mentality on your talent. It's rebuilding stuff. They won't get it.
Sean, look, I appreciate the call, and there's a good thing that our phone lines are full. Because Sean, I would have started biting back at you and said, "Do you realize what you just said? You just said it's easy to beat Florida in a bowl game. It's easy to beat Miami in a bowl game. You said we need a big-time coach that you don't have to reload at Louisville. A big-time coach that you don't have to reload at Louisville. You said you lose a Lamar Jackson and you got to be next man up. Like those points you're making, they sound unrealistic.
I kind of checked out. I'm not gonna lie.
What was the comment that made you check out?
The
you can't rebuild is when you checked out.
Yeah.
You can't. You can't have these guys having to rebuild.
Yeah.
The reason I asked your
and
question,
the big time coach thing. Like, what's a big time coach thing?
And the reason I asked the question, think about this. He said you can't keep rebuilding. I asked you, when was the last time you were rebuilding? When was the last time? You know why? Because the times you got to rebuild, they come from coaches firing.
Yeah.
That's when you got to rebuild. Coach replacements force you to rebuild. You might have a young class and have a tough start, but those aren't rebuilding years. And when you say Bobby has not lost 8, he's not won 8 games.
Yeah.
There's no rebuilding to that conversation.
No, that's my point. Since he's been back, he hasn't won or he hasn't lost or won less than 8 games. That's why I say for me.
And how many years in the ACC?
Well, was Bobby's 5th year, so yeah. So I guess 5. So I say, man. You look at a team like Kentucky right now. Now, granted, they're in the SEC. I understand that. I got a lot of respect for the SEC. Now they could legitimately win 10, 11. Not 11, but they could probably win 10. But they're you look at them right now, projected out to win 9 games or something, and they're losing their minds. Like, but we're in the top 25.
Stop that right now, Steve, because somebody's going to yell at you like they did me yesterday and say, "Oh, so we're comparing ourselves against Kentucky."
Sure,
we're comparing ourselves against the greatest football season Kentucky's ever had in their life.
That's the point.
I tried to make that point, and
I'm running with my father-in-law right now, and he's like, "Man, this is probably the best Kentucky team we've ever had in my lifetime." And I'm like, "Probably." Heck yeah, it is. And I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that mocking. I'm like, heck yeah, are you kidding me?
And listen,
you got a top 15 guy in Josh Allen. You got a Heisman hopeful and Benny Snell. Are you kidding me?
And I said, listen, are you gonna give me my Benny Snell Heisman thing? Marie got mad at me.
Oh no, he ain't got a shot in Hades to win the thing. You were talking about winning. He's not gonna win it.
But remember, Steve? Look, Brian, you got that look on your face. Look, but here's the thing. I just made that comparison because this is your best year ever, right?
Yeah.
And it's fair for me to say I can sit back here and I'll take it one step further. Deep down dark place. I applaud. I pop my popcorn. I say, you know what? Y'all stuck the course. You know what I'm saying? You deserve a winning season.
Yeah, I don't. I don't applaud at all.
God, you're so.
And let's chill on the winning season. Let's let them keep playing.
Dan,
Mississippi State sucked.
You said that too. Dan, thanks for joining us on 93.9, my man. What's on your mind?
Hey, guys. How are you this morning?
Good.
Yeah, I guess that question you asked, I guess the last time we rebuilt, I guess it was when Charlie took over for Cragthorpe was a total rebuild. And by the way, Charlie did an excellent job, and we bounced back pretty fast. But that's not the reason I called. Did you say a while ago that Bobby had averaged 8 wins a season since he's been here? Bobby, too, I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny how the numbers work out like that, you know, because in the last 20 games, we're 10-10. Now, 20 games, that's a lot of games. You're getting, that's a full season and 3/4 of another season. So you know, a lot of people are judging. I'm sorry?
Oh, no, I'm listening. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people are judging by what's happened this year, and I think you've got to take a step back and look what's happened for the last couple of years, you know, especially, you know, us taking a butt kicking from the SEC, you know, on a regular basis. I mean, well, I guess Vanderbilt's the only SEC team we haven't lost to, and, you know, in the last few years, you know, including Kentucky. But my point is, you know, I like Bobby. I do. And I guess he's got a chance to redeem himself. You know,
why do you say I guess? Why is that not a fact? Like, why is it not a fact with his track record over 5 years, not 2 years? Why is it like I guess? Why is it he has a lot of time to get this team together? Because there's still, you know, what, 7 games left? 8 games.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's all got to do with trending. Right now, we are trending down in a spiral. You know, if he turns this season around, and I don't think that 8 games is not that great. I'm sorry, guys, it's just not. I mean, if you know, 8 games on a regular basis, but you need to have a 10 game in there somewhere, which he has had.
Yeah.
You know, but like I said, I guess it's all got to do with trending. You know, you look back over the last 20 games. And like I said, that's a lot of games. That's a lot of games. 500. Well,
listen, Dan, I appreciate the call. Anybody's record can be if you cut out my whole career and you cut out everything I've accomplished and you make my window of proving how good of a coach I am to 20 games, if I've coached 120 games, and you say, oh, we're only going to take the last 20 and say, okay, you're done. Like you're not going to give me a season
but to be fair, I think he's being more fair than what a lot of people do by taking 20 games at least and not 2. I can respect that.
The Kentucky game you lost and the Houston game are like that.
I can respect. Was it Dan? Right? I can respect Dan's argument there when he says, "Hey, I'm looking at a 20 game spread, and I'm saying, okay, 10-10. 10-10 is not acceptable. Shouldn't be acceptable." And I can say,
but 10-10 is not they're 2 different teams, Steve.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't
that's fair.
You can't see, and that's what I don't like about the record. This year I had this guy. This year I had a first-year freshman. They're different teams.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, you know, I could say, well, you had the Heisman Trophy winner last year.
I made the Heisman Trophy winner.
True. So I mean,
again, here we go again. It turns me into super defender when I say, okay, let's acknowledge that you're cutting out a big chunk of what he's done.
Here's what it comes down to. I mean, I think 8 wins is not something that I just go, okay, yeah, that's what I want. I fear, though, what I struggle against is I know even in a crap year, up until now,
right?
And he hasn't proved me wrong yet. We're 2-2, so I know you can immediately go, Steve, but this year, well, hang on, he's 2-2. I know even in a bad year, I'm going to get 8 wins. Like, again, now this is comparing to a team that we know, a rival team who's talking their greatest season ever would be 9 wins or something like that, or 10. I, as much as I hate them,
right?
They could win 10. I mean, I think that's very realistic, okay? So you say that, and I just struggle because I'm like, I don't want to not appreciate the fact that I can pretty much go into every football season up until now and say I can win. I know I'm going to get at least 8. Brian, you want to take that ID real quick?
an official broadcast partner of the
Callers are fired up.
WLCL Sellersburg is 93.9 The Ville.
We got to let you know who we are. So, 93.9 The Ville. It's good. But do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Now, let's do the elephant in the room. I'm sorry. But can we do the elephant in the room?
Go ahead.
Do you feel like Jeff Brom gets you 8 wins every year? Maybe.
It's Bitcoin.
That's what I'm asking. Because why do we got to keep sugarcoating it like that's not going to be the guy
Jeff
if you got rid of Bobby?
Is to me right now is Bitcoin.
Okay.
Maybe he explodes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you find out Bitcoin just took everybody's money and turned into some other coin currency.
Sure. So
Bitcoin,
my question is,
if you jumped in there for a month, it exploded.
Do you give Bobby a chance? If you were Vince, okay, and again, I don't even like having these conversations because we're 2-2. We're 4 games in. Let's see how the season finishes. My God, what if you end 9-3? Do I think that looks realistic right now?
Yeah,
absolutely not.
The product doesn't look like a 9-3 product.
Sure, but I mean, like,
what if you finish 8-4?
What if?
Because think about it, you would finish on a hot streak.
Sure, and you lose to Clemson and
Kentucky.
No, that wouldn't be okay. Clemson and 8-4. You lose to Clemson and Boston College and beat Kentucky at the end of the year. I think you go, okay, let's see what happens. At that point, you're going to the Music City Bowl or something. You're getting a bowl. But I think we need to focus on now. At the end of the year, what do you want? Do you want Bobby to have a chance to revamp the staff? Or do you say, to heck with it, let's go get Brom and see what he can do?
I think it's just a personal preference.
And I just think right now I'm hesitant to say I know Bobby on any given year is going to win me 8 games.
Alex, thanks for joining us on 93.9. Fire away.
Hey, what's up, guys? I just want to make a comment. That the last caller that was like saying 8 wins isn't good enough. I'm a young Louisville fan. I'm 27.
Alex, you're obviously not a fan of the show.
I'm sorry. I am. No, I'm a huge fan. Marcus, I've been listening to you since you were on with Howie Lindsey. Like, I know.
Back in the day.
My fault. I'm sorry.
Fire away.
We don't say names either. I'm sorry about that.
What's he up to these days?
Let me move on. So, if I recall, I remember going 12-1, and Louisville fans complaining that we're winning useless games. And then I believe we went 11. I believe we won 11 games as well. Then they were complaining because the teams were playing with trash. So now we're in the ACC. We're in a good conference. We are playing way better teams than when we were in the Big East and the American Conference. 8-4 in the ACC. Now, granted, I will say this. I hate the fact, the last bowl game we won was against Texas A&M. That does upset me because I really feel like we should have won that Mississippi State game at the very least. And that Georgia game, don't even want to talk about that.
LSU, we didn't have a shot either.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, the LSU game. Yeah, I forgot about that. But so I am upset about those bowl games. But according to Bobby in the conference has done very well in the conference. So like you guys said, I think I'm willing to give Bobby a year. I think I'm willing to give Bobby 2 years, honestly, because I just think it's now, unless this season just tanks,
right?
And and then we only win 2 more games.
Yeah, there's still a lot of decisions. Yeah, there's still a lot of decisions to be made. Yeah,
exactly. But for right now, where we sit at right now, the Virginia game was terrible. I'm so happy I had to work overtime. I couldn't watch it because I probably would have destroyed my house. So, but I'm looking forward to letting the season play out. Bobby is we've been on hot streaks before with Bobby. I'm willing to see what's going to happen. But Louisville fans, I don't think all of you guys, but I think it's asinine to say I'm not willing to accept going 8-4 or in the ACC.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
No,
I think that you don't really know where you are in life right now if you're saying stuff like that. But thank you guys. I'll listen.
Alex, listen, I appreciate the call. Here's the thing. Again, there's two things. Your angry fan base is always your loudest. That's why sometimes it seems like it's an overwhelming, overthrow. Nobody's happy, right? Because people who are kind of satisfied and happy, they're not going to spend all their time in super defense mode, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to spend my time in defense mode either.
Right.
But here's the thing, and again, when your floor is 8, be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Is the only point we're trying to make, people.
Yeah.
We're not happy with 8.
No.
But when your floor is 8, I was on this morning. This might be volunteering a little too much information, but a mother of a top 15 recruit.
Mm-hmm.
2 years from now.
Yeah.
Mother of a top 15 recruit comes to me for advice. At 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I am explaining to her.
We better get that kid. If you're talking to the mom at 3 a.m., I'll never talk to you again if he goes somewhere else.
He's a can't miss though.
Don't play with me. I will never talk to you again.
I'm talking to his mother.
Okay.
And I'm explaining to her that your child, by sending your child to a school, a can't miss school,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cal Polys, the Florida Academies, the Oak Hills, you're raising his floor.
Uh-huh.
If you keep him locally, if you keep him in public school, if you do a nice private school in New York or something, yeah, he can be good, but those kids send people to junior college as well.
Yeah.
The super schools, their worst kid goes and sits the bench at Virginia.
Sure.
Just to have a guy at Virginia that we know comes from Oak Hill.
Yeah.
Your floor is higher.
Sure.
You're guaranteed Division I top school high scholarships around the world are your floor. And that's the only thing I was saying. Like, I know he might turn into the #1 recruit if you just let him go, you know what I'm saying? If you let him go to some big school in Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're still thinking about yeah. Are you recruiting on air, Steve? I'm trying to teach a lesson about
I'm like, well, we'll still, let's see, 2 years, we'll still have Withers.
Yes. And she also wants to know what's the best game to come up to.
Okay, good. I look forward to meeting the young man.
I'm never gonna let you meet him. David, thanks for joining us on 93.9, my man. What's on your mind?
I would say this, as far as like Petrino's recruiting classes and things like that. Now you got to realize the first 2-3 years that Petrino was Charlie's boy. So I would like to see what he do with his own recruiting class and how he recruits. Not knocking that his system will work when you did have a dynamic player like Lamar.
Right. Sure.
But when you don't have a Lamar, I think you have to have a system in place.
Yeah.
Of what he did the first time he was here. He utilized a lot of players. You didn't know who was getting the ball. I mean, from the tight end being split out like a slot to using 2 double tight ends and a fullback coming out of the backfield. The fullback was getting the ball up the middle. He was coming hit the tight end. I mean, I remember Petrino taking his fullback and say, you hit that linebacker every time, and he's going to olay you, and he would end up throwing the ball to the fullback. He was doing so much stuff, the crossing patterns and everything with the receivers.
Right.
Was outstanding of such the technician that he was back then. I mean, he may have lost his far some, but these recruiting classes now is starting to become his class. So he has to take responsibility for these young men, because I think that
are you saying they're not as talented as as maybe they were touted?
I think
you think this school has a talent issue?
It really takes the type of mentality to get a young man to follow you. If you're a general and you have some type of swag. I was looking at the story last night of the basketball love story. And you got to be in love with your coach. You got to love him. You have to want to fall for him. And I just think sometimes they're not out there as far is for him as he could be. I don't know what it is. Really, it's just a hard thing to do. It's between you ride the fence. It's really tough. But he's in a tough spot right now. That he doesn't. He just maybe lost his fire. Plus, like I said, you got to look at those first classes. There were a lot of Charlie boys, and they had a lot of different things. The reason why I say that is, too, because some other caller or another person like you on the radio was stating that when Charlie came in after Craig and Thorpe, he took the same kids and won 7 games with it. They wasn't making the mental mistakes. They wasn't making the errors. They were catching the balls. They were crisp with the same talent. They wasn't doing it the year before. So what are we doing now? Charlie's boys is doing it. Now we're right back to a kind of Craig Thorpe type of thing. They're dropping too many balls. These receivers are 6'5", 6'4", 220, 215. Come on, man. The tackling, things of that nature. The far is just not there. I appreciate the call, and thank you very much.
No, listen, I hear you. I appreciate it. 7 wins by Charlie Strong was also in the AAC. No, it was
Big East.
It was Big East.
Big East, yeah.
You had to admit, 7 wins in the ACC. I don't know if that would have happened, right? And I'm not picking apart Charlie's resume either.
No.
I'm just saying we have to keep factors, extenuating circumstances. We have to keep all those factors in play.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And one other thing, to say somebody has lost their fire is a pretty heavy accusation. Like, how would you be able to tell if somebody lost their fire?
I don't know. I don't know how you can tell because I don't.
Now, I'm okay more with the recruiting. I'm okay more with the recruiting.
They just signed the best class they've ever signed.
Right. But if you say these guys, the class you got was not a self-motivated class like you thought,
okay,
and you're finding that out now, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you bring guys in here and you say, I lost my fire because you went 8-4 and lost my fire because you're 2-2, that's just too quick for me.
Mm-hmm.
2-2 is just too quick to say I lost my fire, unless you were getting ready to say I lost my fire when I was beating Texas A&M, but Lamar Jackson just made you look bad back then.
Yeah.
You said Louisville didn't have it. They're not that good. And now you say Lamar Jackson was the reason anything worked.
Yeah.
Sean behind enemy lines, my man. That's on 93.9.
What's going on, Marcus?
Sure.
Hey, look. Being behind enemy lines, all I heard when Louisville went to the ACC is you're going to see what it is like to play in the real football conference. You're going to get beat up week in and week out. What is Louisville's record in the ACC since they've been in the ACC? 20-12. 20-12. So we can easily say within the last 4 years, Louisville has easily been the second or third best football program in the conference.
Yeah.
So, look, Bobby's struggling. There is no doubt. Personally, I want him to go with pass and lead passing and let him live and learn. Live with them and die with them. Because when I was watching the game the other night, I thought Cunningham, once he got past his first he didn't trust himself enough to go to second read and wanted to take off. And Virginia knew it, and they was waiting on him. Well, I think these passes will, he go through his progression. He's not where we want him to be. But, 8-4 is our floor. Look, if Bobby wins, I always tell UK fans, if UK wins 8 games, you building a statue of the man. See, he wins 8 games for us, we're ready to fire him. And that's the difference between the two programs.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate the call. Don't forget about the ring. What would you do if you beat Kentucky at the end of the year and Bobby gave out rings?
I'd be extremely angry.
With who?
Everybody.
I'd be disappointed in myself.
You'd wear one. You'd come in, but man, I got this ring. God, he's got a ring on.
You know what's ironic about what you just said?
Yeah.
when we beat Kentucky. Listen,
Got this banner, man.
I'm not gonna say we got extra stuff, but I'm gonna say things got a lot nicer instantly, Steve.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We were definitely treated.
I'm gonna put this banner up over here.
We weren't treated like a 12-20 team.
Okay, well that's different. That's totally different.
No, it's not, Steve.
Yeah.
It's the exact same. We did not deserve the treatment we got after we beat them.
Yeah.
Frank, thanks for joining us on 93.9, my man. What's on your mind?
What's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Good.
Good. Well, just a couple of things, and I hang up and listen. One thing I think that's leading to the fan base being uneasy is the success going on in 80 miles down the road, east of Louisville. And I think if Kentucky was 1-3 or 0-4, yeah, it'll be some concern because the offense right now is very anemic, and that's just making it kind. The score. 10 points in 4 games and no touchdowns. That's pretty bad. But my problem is with the team is there's no leadership amongst the players that's really stepping up. The team has talent. I feel like it doesn't have chemistry, and not only it doesn't have chemistry, but you don't see a leader that's really stepping up amongst the players, and I think that's a little bit something deeper than just them dropping balls. It kind of reminds me of the Louisville basketball team that came within one free throw of going to the Final Four. As talented as that team was, they didn't like each other until Richard Pitino kind of sat down and explained to them, hey, these are your teammates. You got to ride or die with them guys. Right. And I think that's pretty much I think it's pretty much what's going on. I think that locker room is very divided. I don't know what it is that Jalen Smith is a senior. You don't see him on the sideline. You don't see him firing the guys up. And this is my opinion. I'm going to hang up and listen. I just think there's something a little bit deeper than them dropping balls.
No, I appreciate you hear that background. Was that a commercial? No, listen. I don't agree with him. I mean, I don't disagree at all.
Same.
Joe, thanks for joining us tonight. Fire away.
Marcus, man, dude. I don't understand. I mean, the guy calls in about a trend, which I agree with. The last 10, 20, 10, and 10. And I guess my thing is, man, is I think people limit, and I'm not talking about you guys exactly, but overall in that town, man, I get tired of everybody saying, well, Louisville football, this is what we should expect, and this is what we should, bow down to, whatever. And when I say that, I mean, look, I've been to Clemson, South Carolina. It's a podunk, small town that's got a big-time football program. And to me, what I'm talking about is, why can't Louisville be an upper-tier, top-type, big-time college football program? Because to me, everybody says, well, you're Louisville football. You shouldn't be able to have this, that, and the other. And my question is, why? My thing is, Louisville's a great town, big city. The facilities are off the charts. Now, granted, Kentucky in general is not the greatest football recruiting ground there is. I get that. But there's a lot to offer, and on top of that, now you are in the ACC. So I just get tired of hearing there's some kind of limit to what Louisville football could be. And I get the whole 8 wins. To me, when I bring up the trend thing, I'm talking about, look, if we're 8-4 and all that, and this is the year after Lamar Jackson again, I think fans would buy into that, and I get it, because it's the year after Lamar. But my thing is, we were sold a bag of poo by Petrino. That's the bottom line. This guy comes out and says it's going to be a better offense. The receivers are talking this, and I get all that. You got the swag or whatever, but it's the total opposite. So to me, 8-4 looks a heck of a lot different if you're trending and it's an overachievement type of deal compared to what we were sold. And, that's just my question, man, because to me the trend, like the guy said before, it's just going downward. And I think Louisville football offers a lot and can be a lot. And we don't have to set our limits on, well, we should be happy at 7-5, 8-4. I think in general in a rebuild we would be, but every now and then, why can't we get a 10-win type of season? Why can't we be big time? I don't think we got to set the bar on what Louisville football could be. I think it could be as big as it wants to be if we let ourselves get there. But half the time I think we feel like we got to have Bobby Petrino coaching Louisville football for it to be anything. And I just disagree with that, man. And I can't see an 8-win type of team from the product I've seen on the field the first 4 weeks. I just wanted to get that out. That's all I got, guys.
Joe, listen, I appreciate the call. I know what you're saying. I said nobody's happy with 8, but you respect.
Well, I mean, I think what we need to be clear, too, is what you keep saying is if 8 is your floor. And to this point, all we know is 8 as the floor. Okay?
So you're saying 8 is your floor, but you're saying 8 is the ceiling, too? Like, I wasn't saying 8 was the ceiling.
No, that's what I'm saying.
And you say sprinkle in some 10-win games?
Okay. Which I think we've done.
Right.
Well, actually, did he end up winning? They may have won 9 that year. But, I mean, you were top 5 all year. Good Lord.
Yeah, like I said.
If you're going to win 9 games, I mean, be top 5 all year.
And like I said, there is no loser mentality here.
You
like
fired
I said,
the defensive coordinator for losing
one game.
I know.
One game.
Mean, yeah. So.
And you hand out rings for winning one game.
Yeah. I mean, like, let's.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not a lose. Like I said, it's not. It's a respect of the amount of time it takes for a team to be good and transition from year to year.
I agree with you when you say Louisville. Here's the thing about the 8-win mark, though. There's how many programs in the country that 8 or 9 wins is not acceptable? Bama.
8.
Okay. I was going to say 6. I was going to say 6. But yeah.
There's
8.
You know what? There's 7 in Louisville.
That's probably true.
Right?
7 in Louisville.
There's 7 schools that 8 is unacceptable.
You win 8 games at Bama, which I think Saban did. What, he had that 1 year with Julio Jones.
LSU 10 was unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple teams that you win 8, 9 games, they're gonna be like, dude, you suck. You suck.
But why is that? It's not because of fan expectation. It's because you have natural recruiting bases. You have natural financial advantages. You have natural advantages that make 10 unacceptable.
Sure.
Florida State.
Ohio State, I think it's unacceptable.
Yeah, because you're Ohio State.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
Sure.
When I can go get
7 in Louisville. That's funny.
You don't think so?
No, yeah, that's why it was funny.
Louisville has a high expectation. It's our fault. It has a high expectation to everything.
And when I say higher expectation, I don't think at all that you shouldn't expect. Louisville has the resources that they should be able to compete for a college football playoff. Louisville has the resources where we should go into most seasons going, hey, this team could be a New Year's Six team. Absolutely. Now, I agree with that. We have those resources. We have the stadium. We have like, you shouldn't go into many years going, I don't know if we got it this year. Like, there's no reason. Okay. But I say, watch out.
Mississippi State's still 23.
And I have no idea. I think that was just to justify putting Kentucky in the top 20. I have no.
Billy Carl, thanks for joining us on 93.9, my man. Fire away.
Hey, man, can I make a public service announcement before I go into my sports talk?
Take your time.
Okay, I was on 97 to beat the other night with Derwin Webb, man, and like I said, we was talking about you, and because I was in the studio audience, and we was just talking about he is running for election, and he will be the first African-American judge to sit in family court. So if you're not registered to vote, tell everybody to get out and vote for Derwin Webb. Let me get that on out the way.
Service announcement.
Good guy.
Shout out Derwin Webb.
All right. Now, I called last week, and I think I was talking to Steve, and I was telling him, you don't abandon the ship yet. You know, and then everybody was getting on to my, no, you fix it before it gets done. I blame Bobby, but I blame him for a different reason. When you switch back and forth quarterbacks and you switch back and forth running backs, you divide the locker room yourself. That's the only thing I blame him for. You sold people on pass all summer.
Right.
Rock out with him. Ride out with him. Just ride out with him. And even with the running backs, can't nobody get a good rhythm if you just switching. So I blame him for that. I don't blame him for a lot of other stuff people are blaming him for, but just ride out with what you got, and you fix it along the way. That's all I got.
Feel it, Carl?
We can agree there.
I appreciate the call.
Yeah, we can agree there.
Listen, Steve.
Yeah.
When people show up bearing gifts,
it's fair.
You got to go.
You do.
Middays with Marcus Maben. 8150 93.9. Quick commercial break. 93.9 The Ville.
I'm Dr. Mark Waldman with the Parsley Waldman Hair Center, and I'm back to talk about hair transplants.